This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Pirates are one of those things that, like the ninja or a knight, we have a strong image of, and that inspires many stories, fantasies, movies, books, and so on. Also, like ninjas and knights, most people have the image slightly off and many facts about them wrong. It happens. But I feel like pirates are also a group that people rather just seem to know less of than pop culture seems to depict. Like, yeah, they rarely actually buried a treasure chest and put a red X on a map while saying "arg" every other sentence. That's a common mistaken depiction in pop culture. But there are plenty of cool things that pirates did that I'm surprised pop culture doesn't use more often. So, for today's video, we're going to talk about a time where pirates managed to flat out take control of an island in the Caribbean during the early 1700s, forming a semi-republic of sorts. The Caribbean was a prime place for pirates for many reasons. There was the obvious shipping traffic going through the Caribbean, but there were also many profitable plantations and businesses on the Caribbean islands to raid. But the fact that there are over 7,000 islands meant that there were also many places to hide. Not necessarily for burying treasure, but to create pirate dens and bases to keep their ships at and to lay low. Any local forces policing the islands would only stay near the inhabited ones most of the time. It would often require a country's navy to deliberately go searching for them to root them out. But as you can imagine, the Europeans fighting wars all the time meant that navies were constantly needed elsewhere. Or if they were in the Caribbean, they focused more on the enemy ships than a few pirates. Well, the ones that weren't hired, anyway. That brings us to some important distinctions. You've probably heard of several words for pirates. Other than the word pirate itself, you've probably heard of privateers, buccaneers, raiders, corsairs, marauders, picaroons, etc. Not all of these words are synonym for pirate, so we're going to distinguish between them. It's time for a lightning round of definitions. Obviously, a pirate in this context is anyone who attacks and robs ships at sea. This is the overarching word. Picaroon is just a Spanish-based word that means to act like a pirate. Raiders are just anyone who raids something. That's it. Pirates can be raiders, but so can anyone else. It's an action-based word more than anything meaningful. Marauders are anyone who engages in banditry, meaning attacking a ship is pirating, but constantly doing it as an operation and building a reputation along with a group of people means that you're a marauder. Just as how there's a difference between a single robbery and a gang, which would also be considered marauding. If you weren't a marauding pirate, you could be a privateer. Privateers were anyone or any crew who were given permission by a government to engage in maritime warfare as a private commission outside of being in the official navy. So they're basically pirates, but they are limited to enemy ships under a commission rather than freely roaming. They could even claim captured ships as prizes or imprison captured crews, but because of their commission, they weren't treated like pirates, and if captured, they could get imprisonment instead of the death penalty like with normal pirates. There were many times marauding pirates would become privateers to get some sort of pardoning, and there were many times privateers would become marauding pirates once their commission ended. It kinda goes back and forth. In some cases, a privateer might abuse their commission to do both at the same time and not get caught, or maybe the governments might conveniently ignore it if you do it to the enemy. Those were called Buccaneers. Basically, Buccaneers would identify as privateers and usually be licensed like one, but they would often stop there and basically just raid wherever and use their license of privateering as protection whenever they could, but raid places they weren't also ordered to. Thus, sometimes Buccaneers were hanged regardless of their license, as going outside of their commission was, well, honestly a war crime by the time's standards. Also, Buccaneers are specifically reserved for those who did this in the Caribbean. Corsairs were any privateer loyal to the Crown of France. That's it. They definitely acquired a reputation, often considered the more swashbuckling, sword-fighting type of pirate and more flamboyant, but they're just a privateer under the Crown of France. Sometimes other groups, such as the Barbary Pirates, were nicknamed the Barbary Corsairs, but the real Corsairs are just loyal to the Crown of France, that's it. Hopefully that settles things for you, because while these terms are all related, as you can see, they're not technically the same. Whew. So back to the actual subject of the video, the so-called Republic of Pirates. The Republic of Pirates was in the Bahamas, more specifically the island of New Providence, where the capital city of Nassau is located. So how and why did this happen? As mentioned earlier, the Caribbean was really profitable for pirates, and there were a lot of islands which made it easy to have pirate dens. For New Providence, a pirate named Henry Every basically bribed the governor to just ignore him, effectively setting himself up on the island. At the time, the Bahamas didn't have a royal crown governor, and was not only loosely governed, but not as important compared to the other Caribbean islands, so he got away with this. But as time went on, other pirates effectively did the same thing, but the final tipping point would be a raid. In 1703, a Franco-Spanish force raided Nassau and basically destroyed it. It was so devastating that the settlement was abandoned. The governor of the Bahamas ended up going back to England as the colony was basically pointless at that point. As a result, pirates filled the power vacuum to fill their own society. If this sounds familiar, well, they literally made a game about it. England was still at war and was going to be too distracted for a while, especially with news traveling so slow across the Atlantic for immediate action anyway. The pirates didn't establish a state, so it wasn't a real republic, but why it's called a pirate republic is that they all followed a set of rules called the Pirate Code. Pirate codes would be common for individual pirate crews, but the Pirate Code would apply to all the pirates on the island. Any ships that operated from this island had to use democratic rule and equally distribute any plunder among the crew, but they were also very open to non-marauders as well. Sometimes privateers or ex-sailors who were out of work were there, or sometimes there would be refugees from certain groups, whether runaway slaves or Jacobites. The crews, as a result, would be very diverse. After all, they all came from different backgrounds and were considered outlaws and rejects. Why would they care about their backgrounds? And thus, they were all equal under the Pirate Code. Several notable pirates would work within this system, including the notorious Blackbeard, Henry Jennings, and Jack Rackham. However, this semi-republic would not last forever. The war with Spain ended in 1713, and eventually the British decided they needed to finally handle this pirate thing and re-establish order. In 1717, England's King George I made the Proclamation for Suppressing of Pirates. Despite the name, it was actually quite generous. It stated that if you surrendered to the nearest colonial governor by September 5th of 1718, you'd be pardoned for everything you've done. For pirates, the penalty was typically the death penalty. So as a result, many pirates once they started figured that this was their life forever, because if they ever got captured, their life was over. But now they could actually settle down for a normal life if they wanted. A lot of pirates would take up this offer. Woodes Rogers was declared the first royal governor of the Bahamas, and he went to Nassau with a fleet basically giving the pirates the final chance to accept the king's offer. The ones that did were then mostly used to help hunt down pirates who refused, as privateers. 9 of them would be captured and executed. Blackbeard notably evaded capture from Governor Rogers, but would be captured after a Royal Naval Force was sent by the governor of Virginia just barely 2 months later. Piracy obviously didn't end, and there were other minor attempts at a sort of pirate republic later on, although many of them are more legend rather than fact. None of them certainly got as successful as this one did. Now, someone like Blackbeard naturally wanted to have his communications with other pirates or the activities of his plundering kept secret. Similarly, in the modern age, most people also want privacy over their communications and activities online, especially with how risky public Wi-Fi networks can be. That's why this video's sponsor is NordVPN. NordVPN is a product that protects your data traffic by using an encryption with an artificial IP address. Over 80% of people admit to accessing things like their bank account on public Wi-Fi networks, which can be rather risky without a VPN, which around 75% of people simply don't have. But with Nord, you can now do so safely and securely. Nord wants to help everyone get their data protected, which is why they're giving you a 3-year plan for only $3.49 a month and an additional month for free by using the promo code TigerStar at nordvpn.com/tigerstar. Once you sign up for NordVPN and are now able to protect your data from hackers with military-grade encryption, you'll be able to browse online with your mind at ease using thousands of servers from across over 55 countries. This can also be used to get past geo-restrictions for certain services and websites to let you see how the websites look from other countries. With a simple click, you can be anywhere, and with another simple click with the link below, you can get the wonderful deal they're providing today to keep your data safe wherever you may be. So thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Now that it's 2020, I can't wait to get some video ideas I've been wanting to do for a while. Expect a map video next week, and once again, continuing the normal video schedule. I'm Emperor Tigerstar, and I'll see you guys next time.